Welcome back, everyone, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BETSPERTS. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christenson, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Andy Molitor. And it's a very special day today, folks, because we got money in the Brank.
It is. It is Friday. It's baseball Friday. I'm just taking the rest of the week off. Whatever. Yes, nice. Frank is here. This might be did the Pirates screw up last night?
They got one hit.
They got a hit? Oh, yeah. That was every time we get you on, the Pirates have done something hilarious the day before. It was the base running gaff, and now, getting embarrassed, almost getting no hit in a park that is generally known for hits.
They're basically hitting on the moon, and they almost got no hit. Right. Correct.
Yes. God, this theme has continued. This is funny. So, and baseball, again, I don't bet a ton of baseball. That's obviously mine. I'm betting other people's stuff a little bit here. I'm paying attention partially. Anybody who's watched the last few days have noticed that I've had a St. Paul Saints hat on because the Twins stink so much. I've just moved on to being a AAA team fan. But baseball, other than, and Christ's sakes, let's not even Trevor Bauer at all. Like, that's a whole nother nest. That's a nest of hornets. This is not Geraldo. We're not getting into any stuff like that.
Yeah, no need for that.
That's a reference too.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll just leave Trevor Bauer's current legal situation alone. The thing I've been seeing all bleeping over Twitter now is these damn charts, Frank, and I'm gonna have producer Dan pull them up. So, like, this spin rate, and if people don't understand spin rate at all, it's just how much the ball spins, and in 5 seconds, tell me why that matters.
Balls that spin more move more, and balls that spin more, the balls are round and the bat is round, and then the ball will slip off the bat easier as well. So they not only move more, but it's sort of an exponential thing. And even just 100 RPMs of spin can make a big difference.
100 RPMs makes a big difference. So, as you saw in those charts, like, where those huge drops were, that was Lucas Giolito of the cheating Black Sox. Is it the Black Sox again? Now that they're pulling this shit again, we're going back to that. So the cheating White Sox, and I mean, he's not the only one. I just like to pick on him because my boss is a big White Sox fan. There's a lot of charts like this where, hey, we're gonna check for sticky stuff, and you see the chart, it's like, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, Elon tweeted about sticky stuff, and Bitcoin dropped off the face of the earth, like, just like that. So I mean, we've seen some stuff pop up with, like, runs in the first inning have been adjusted. Totals are starting to be adjusted up. Hit plus run plus errors are starting to be adjusted up. Like, there was a quick adjustment in the market. I know you bet more money lines than totals, but is this affecting that at all as far as what you've done? I know a big part of what you do is with starting pitching.
Yeah, I mean, you tend to focus on the starters, right? Because the difference in lineups, unless it's a huge difference, is not that much, right? Like, almost home field advantage could wipe out any hitter differences because the pitchers just control so much of the game. But yeah, it's definitely changed stuff. I mean, you could look at the board today. There's a lot of double-digit totals out there. There are some really bad pitchers out there, but, like, Ohtani is going against Domingo Germán today in New York, and the total's 10. Granted, juice a little bit to the under, but these are two very good pitchers that have a total of 10. And the Angels lineup isn't particularly great. The Yankees lineup starting to hit, but it's got to be because of this. You look at a guy like you mentioned, the White Sox. You look at a guy like Dylan Cease, Lucas Giolito's partner in crime here, literally. He's seen about a 300 to 350 RPM drop in fastball, curveball, slider. And he's minus 115 today at home with one of the best lineups in baseball against Bailey Ober for the Twins, who is, and I think will be really good. He's minus 115 at home to a Twins team that has struggled pretty badly. Granted, they've been better lately, and I do think Ober's pretty good, but he's plus 105 now on the road in Chicago against Dylan Cease, who has been very good this year, almost certainly because of the sticky stuff being taken off of his body, glove, hat, fingers, baseball, and now he's going to go back to being probably pretty shitty Dylan Cease again.
I enjoy that. I mean, as a semi-Twins fan, I don't know if our guy Lunch Pail guy. Who am I trying to think of?
Randy Dobnak.
Randy Dobnak. Yeah, I'd like to see his spin rate charts. They probably went up, honestly, because just because that league average line moved. So. Yeah, well, as long as you're adjusted. I'm just worried about you because, again, since you've been visiting us every couple weeks or so, you've never lost a pick on here. I just worry about that.
It's important to keep that up.
Yeah, you need to. You have big shoes to fill in previous Frank episodes. So, all right. I'm not making any adjustments because I don't have a baseball model, so I'm going to be just fine. Don't worry about me, folks. Frank bets golf though too. Yeah. Do you these 3 weeks? Like Travelers, Detroit, TPC Deer Run, worst 3 weeks of the year?
For golf, yeah, there's definitely like a stretch in there at the beginning of the year where it's like every prominent player takes off that maybe is not so great. But with the Open Championship coming up, it's probably worth the wait a little bit. These tournaments have been a little bit better fields than what I was anticipating looking at them. Like I was not expecting the Travelers to have anybody in it after the US Open, and it was a slightly below average field. It wasn't too bad. Next week, I would assume will be the worst one. Although there are people that like to play in that tournament for some reason. Like I'd imagine Spieth will be there and maybe a few other guys, but so many guys are going to be getting overseas. I'd imagine some of the COVID stuff going on is going to create an issue where they want to get over there earlier and deal with all that as they can. And some guys just like to go play links golf in sort of, the different style there ahead of time to sort of practice some shots. And, it's just a totally different game of golf at Royal St. George for the Open Championship in a few weeks. So, yeah, this is definitely the biggest lull in season for the PGA Tour compared to, maybe after the Tour Championship. There's a little bit of a drop off there at some point.
But we have football at that point, so it doesn't matter. This is the summer. We're supposed to have good stuff. And yeah, guys who have some European roots are playing like the Irish Open this week, and they're certainly not going to fly back to play TPC Deer Run. Like they're probably going to stay over there. I'm not going to put words in Rory's mouth, but I'm feeling like he'll probably stay over on that side of the pond and just wait to play the Open. So, I mean, a
lot of people like to play the Scottish Open as well in the week before the actual Open Championship. Yeah. I think that's a pretty regular event. Like Phil's played in there a lot. Patrick Reed's played in there a lot. So we'll probably see some guys do that as well.
Sure. No, and then just, again, I have some plays on here. I'm going to play this one like any other tournament. I'll probably be top 20 and matchup heavy, but the real big question before we get on to, what people really want, people want your pick because, again, you're undefeated. But the talk about, like, the long hitters here with the non-existence of, like, penal rough. Like, did you have I just want to hear your quick thesis on this one and how you approached it because it's like there's going to be some easy approach shots for almost everybody. Like, I played this course on my Nintendo last night, Frank. Shot a 57. A 57. Like, this course is going to get beat. Bryson won this with like a 23 under last year. Like, somebody's scoring 20 under. Like, I don't think you need to be like, and again, Bryson, he's a bomber. He won. Like, he's also really good at putting. Like, someone's going to have a hot ass putting weekend and win this. So, I mean, what was your thesis in this one going in?
I don't think driving is as important as what people are making it out to be. Although you always want the longer hitters, but I think you don't have to weight it any, that much different than what you would a normal week necessarily. You're right. Bryson won. He gained almost 7 strokes off the tee. He gained 7.8 strokes putting. That helps. It's a very unique mix of skill set that Bryson has that the other guy you like, Jason Kokrak, also has, is that he drives it really well and hits it far, and he's also extremely good putter. It's kind of a hard thing to do. When Brooks was being Brooks in the majors, that's what he was doing. He was driving incredibly straight. He was hitting his irons decently, but he was reining in putts. And it was like, of the bombers, Brooks was the best putter. Ironically, I think it's Bryson now, where of the bombers, he's the best bomber, and he's also the best putter. It just leads to a lot of variance, and that's why we see him suck at times. So I do think that Bryson is the favorite here, but I don't think driving distance, like one year, the year he won the driving distance was a much bigger deal. Less so the year before when I think it was Nate Lashley, who was one of the shorter hitters.
Effing Lashley.
He was the alternate that got in. He was like the last guy in the field who got in on a Monday qualifier and won the event. So it's too early to say what Detroit Golf Club is going to play like. It certainly seemed like last year guys were starting to bomb it a little bit more, but that was the overall approach last year more so than the year before. So maybe that's part of it. If you do want a bomber, he's pretty much the only guy in the field that can come close to, consistently hitting the ball, 315, 320 plus. Kokrak is maybe in there a little bit, but Bryson's certainly the favorite. But I don't think the driving is as pronounced as what people think it is, because all of these guys are going to have a lot of wedges into holes, and that creates the opportunity for a lot of 12-footers. And if Bryson doesn't gain 8 strokes putting again, he could still lose this pretty easily to someone, that can putt really well. Webb Simpson, Patrick Reed, all those guys are up there, because you're just going to have to rein in putts. And that's just what it is. And that's super variant, and it's hard to predict that.
Yeah, Alex, you've golfed a bunch, and you've even caddied. We have a caddy in our midst here. A lot of people don't know that, but caddies know more about golf than golfers know about golf. And Al, I'm sure you've seen that with you when you've played and when you've, I'm going to say looped. I don't get to use that much. I'm going to say looped for people.
I'm not sure you're
just it's stupid. You can't quantify this. There's no metric for it, but people do have good putting days. They're just reading the green well. I don't know if maybe, they just didn't drink as much the night before and their arms aren't shaking. They just are, they're stroking well on the flat surface and things are going well. And that's how these stupid birdie fests work. Somebody reads the greens well, or their caddies reading it well, and they're just putting everything in.
Yeah, it's obviously a lot different at the level of golf I'm used to watching, but for me, it was always they hit that first putt hard enough and it didn't go past the hole. The problem with most golfers is they're trying to get the ball to the hole, not past the hole. If you're going to make putts, you need to be rolling the ball a foot to 2 feet past the hole every time you try to putt it. And mentally, that's really hard for people because they don't think about the fact that they only have a 1 or 2 foot putt coming back. It's, oh no, I missed it by 1 or 2 feet. I would have rather been 2 inches short. So if you can get that first putt in as opposed to blowing it past, then all of a sudden you start to feel good. You're swinging the putter a little more freely. That's what I always see. The people that are putting well are the ones that get up to the ball. They're not doing a whole lot of waggles. They're not making a lot of adjustments. They get up, they look, and it's back and forward, and that's it. There's just a nice confident stroke. They're getting the ball through the hole as opposed to it, and that makes a big difference. And it's a total confidence thing. Once you get out there and you make a couple and you hear that sound, the best sound in the world, the ball rolling in, I mean, it gets you. All of a sudden, the cup looks bigger. Your ball looks smaller. Everything seems straighter. It does. It just all builds.
I'm just gonna live bet guys who make birdies in the first hole. Then I'm gonna update my confidence model. And truthfully, I haven't bet this yet. I got to go down to Iowa to fucking bet this. But I bet on our guy Kokrak. I bet on him to make an eagle in the first round, plus 550.
That's just terrible. That's terrible.
No, you don't know. You don't know, man. He had 2 rounds with an eagle last time he was here. I know. I probably should be getting better odds, but I liked it I like to back him. Maybe I should just back him to win instead of some horrible prop. But either way,
you got to be creative. Be creative.
Yeah, it's called a wild card bet, Frank. Speaking of wild card bets. All right, let's talk baseball. Back to baseball.
The only person in Brown Bag Bets history to have his own segment. It's time for Money in the Brank.
I love this. I love this.
Oh, it is.
Right, tell me what it is. What am I betting today?
Oh, you want the bet?
Yeah.
Okay. You're not even ask. Okay. Yeah, I'm taking the Royals today. I'm not going to cop out. I've been getting messages about, oh, you're taking favorites, even though I did take the Padres on the road at the Dodgers the one game. Now I'm going back to the Dogs. Going back. KC plus 139 at Boston. This game got really interesting last night. Very close back and forth game with a lot of homers. This total was sky high. I don't mind the Royals in this spot. Boston used up a lot of bullpen arms last night. And, results-wise, I think these pitchers should be a little bit flipped. Martin Perez is closer to a 5 ERA pitcher, and Mike Minor is closer to a 4 ERA pitcher. He gave up 9 earned in his last start against Texas. Mike Minor did, his old team. And he gave up 0 barrels in that start. So that really inflated his results in his ERA. So far for the season, I think this number is a little bit inflated. We should get a relatively fresh KC bullpen, a relatively beat-up Boston team. And Martin Perez is throwing more strikes this year, but it's leading to more barrels. His specialty was certainly getting his hard hit rate was under 30%. Now it's up in the mid 30s. or no, it's at 40% exactly on the season, which is still very good, but it's not what he needs to be successful. So he's going to give up a lot of balls in play. This is a really good hitting environment right now. It's really hot and humid in the Northeast. And this Boston Park plays a lot smaller than what it seems because the corners are very short, which is generally where you hit for power. And in the gaps in center field is very big, which is generally where you hit more of your line drives. So I think that, Martin Perez will give up some runs. And if I'm going to trust anyone in this game, it's going to be Minor over Perez.
I was going to ask you, by the way, on this particular game, how do you feel about the Royals pitching? Because I had somebody point out to me that one of the better bets you can make over the last few weeks is the team total over for whoever's playing the Royals.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's generalizing in baseball is sort of stupid. Like, it just depends who's pitching, right? Like, we need to evaluate everything in an individual basis for baseball because it's not a team sport. It's just really not. Like, you have to know who's going in a given day. It's individual matchups that are, in a way, parlayed together, right, to a team outcome. There's no real teamwork unless somebody gets into a pickle, a rundown situation. There's no real teamwork here in baseball.
Cutoffs.
Yeah, right. Like, and how often does that? There's a pitcher and a catcher, I guess, game within the game a little bit, but it's just individual matchups against each other. And, I just don't really value any sort of generalization. I mean, you could look at the Braves hitting 191 over the last 8 games. I saw people putting that out, and I'm like, it's 8 games, man. Like, this offense is really good. We've known this offense has been really good for like 3 years, and all the same hitters are there, and they're still really good. I just don't really care about 8 games. So yeah, the generalizations in baseball are very strange to me.
Yeah, I will say too, it very, very big surprise. Like, let's look at my big surprise face that a former college pitcher says this is not a team sport. The guy in the bump does usually think it's all about him. Before we let you go, I did want to ask, to bring it full circle, like, what are who's the Red Sox pitcher? Perez?
Martin Perez. Yeah.
Yeah, Perez and Minor, what do those charts look like? Do we have big spin rate adjustments on those guys or not?
To be honest, I didn't even really look at them because they're just not that type of pitcher, right? Yeah, like they're not someone that you would be like, oh, this guy's probably cheating, right? Like, I guess D. Gordon got caught. I guess D. Gordon.
If he is, let him keep cheating.
D. Gordon got caught with steroids, so I guess that is kind of an interesting one. But neither of these guys are high spin rate guys anyway, so I don't think it's going to affect them too much. I did see a report that something like 60% of pitchers have seen like a pretty significant drop off in spin. That's not surprising to me either. Baseball has a big problem on its hand in that to combat the spin issue, they've made these balls really slick, and over the last couple of years, and now they can't use anything other than rosin, which is true, and that's how it should be. But now they have an issue where they were trying to combat the spin by making the baseball slicker, and now they can't use pine tar or anything. So it's going to lead to some high totals, I would think, and some wildness. I mean, with the stuff that they were using, I don't know if you guys have ever had pine tar, used pine tar before, but they've had stuff stickier than pine tar, and pine tar is very sticky. Yeah. Like, if you hold a bat, like, you make a sound letting a bat go with pine tar on it, right? It's like a very sticky substance, and they have things way stickier than pine tar that they're using to spin baseballs. They could have effectively thrown a lacrosse ball with 3,000 RPM on a slider. So baseball sort of made the balls lacrosse balls, and now they're in a weird spot where, like, if they're not going to let them use anything, they're probably going to have to make the cover a little bit more grip or raise the laces or something, and that just causes a whole bunch of other issues with drag and everything. So yeah, Manfred has screwed this up big time, and leave it to baseball to sort of screw themselves. But this change is probably better for the game given the runs that will come out of it. And I do think the elite pitchers like DeGrom will still be pretty good.
Yeah, we will. DeGrom doesn't cheat. He's an angel, and I love him, and he's my favorite. He's probably my favorite player besides Randy Dobnak. So, all right. Well, we do thank Mr. Frank for joining us today. Again, you can check him out on the Twitter machine at Real Frank Brank. That's how you know it's the authentic Frank Brank from the Steel City.
That's
and his
right.
stuff is out every day over on EliteFantasySportsGamblingBet.com as well. Check him out on Twitter and there. And yeah, he's betting baseball all day. Thanks, Frank. See ya.
See ya.
You do. See you, Frank.
Oh, Wimbledon? Is it raining? Or what do we got today?
They are actually playing tennis, Andy. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on here, and I want to check. I closed out of it to try to pay attention to what Frank was talking about. But Katie Bolter was able to take a set, Andy.
Oh, buddy.
And it looks like we're going to get our over. So we've got our over. We've got Bolter plus 1.5 sets, and now we're just waiting. We're waiting on our 6.5, 7-1, whatever number you got. It's beautiful. Very excited. But we do have some more tennis. Not a ton more tennis, actually, to be perfectly honest. It was tough. A lot of lines are starting to come out this morning, and as things are taking longer, it's just tough to get through a lot of this stuff before we get on. I'll be sure to put all this stuff on BETSPERTS. The app's been pretty good the last week or so with Grand Slam by getting all those lines out. So luckily, I've been able to get everything in there. Of course, you can find me on Twitter at _Noops, which you see there. But for later today, I believe we talked about this one yesterday. Golubic playing Danielle Rose Collins, a match that I expect to be very close. Two women that are a lot more competitive on grass than I think the market expects. This match should be very close. Over 21.5 looks like a really nice number to me. I would make it 22. It'd probably be a juicy 22, maybe even a cheap 22.5, a rare one of those. Since we are on grass, folks, remember, these are much more competitive matches. And for Thursday, for tomorrow, they're back. We skipped the first round, which ended up being kind of okay. I think it just pushed in the first round. But golf overs. She's going to play Alina Vesnina. Now, Alina Vesnina is someone that was very good at tennis a handful of years ago, took some time off, is now back on tour, basically to try to get in shape for one last run in the Olympics. She does look to be in pretty good physical shape. You know, her form's not the best in the world, but she's a clever player, knows how to play on the surface, and it's a Coco golf match, Andy. This should be at least 21. Let's grab 20, a cheap 20.5. Heck, you want to get weird with it and take 21 plus money? Go for it. Do it. You're an adult. Do whatever you want.
You're an adult. Again, we encourage you to be an adult. If you're a child watching this, don't gamble. You're not allowed to yet. And if you're an adult, gamble responsibly, or try at least. Do your best. So, I'll be on this. Golf, probably, and honestly, what's the price you'd need to play over 1.5 sets or over 2.5 sets, like plus 160?
Yeah, I would look for plus 160, something like that. Maybe even maybe plus 155 you could talk me into, but plus 160 is probably what you should be looking for.
I'll be betting it. I mean, if I find 160 or better, I'll probably play it. So, all right, golf, I'm down. And then that just leaves us with golf to golf. I had trouble with that transition, so I had to say that. We played her last night, shot a 57, not a big deal. I talked to Frank, made fun of my wild card bet already, which I'm still going to drive down and play. But yeah, just some day one plays. I ran my numbers on day one plays. Doc Redman's a guy I've backed a couple times, taking him over Rogers. Pat Perez, you saw last night, if you watched Approaching Green, he's a longer shot. I played a top 30 on. I'm taking him over Denny McCarthy. Mr. Hammer and Hank Lebioda, he's a guy I've been all over the last few weeks. He's been good to me. Now that I know how to say his name, over Matty Nesmith and Chase Seifert. Over Ryder, all favorites, but I didn't lay the strokes with any of these. I do show some value on most of these, so laying some chalk with some favorites on day one. I'll be looking at some day two stuff tomorrow once we get past the round. So probably Friday on the show, if I have some afternoon plays, I'll talk about them. But yeah, look for a blog. I should have it out earlier than I did last week. Jesus, it was like 9 at night when I got that out. So just that. And then obviously, again, thanks to the sponsor, WinBet, where you can get this laser etched tumbler when you sign up for a new account and show us that you did by sending us a screenshot of your risk-free bet, which is what you get when you sign up to $500 risk-free. First bet, find some big-ass underdog and play that. That's what you should be doing. Go ahead, sign up.
Vesnina over 22. It's like plus 150 probably. Might even be bigger than that.
Let's go. Let's get it. I like it. So, all right, until tomorrow, have fun. Good luck. Happy hump day. I'll catch you on Deep Dive tonight. We'll talk some college football.
Beautiful.